Welcome to The Ripple Effect with Soria, where we discuss personal development, the entrepreneurial journey, and impact. Here is your host, Armando Soria.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to The Ripple Effect with Soria. I'm your host, Armando Soria. I want to start off by just reminding you that if you find value in the show, if you hear any tidbits, some takeaways, anything that helps inspire you in your entrepreneurial journey, do me a favor, share the show. The more shares we get, the more abilities we have to get more ears on the show and help us grow. Today, I'm very excited to introduce my guest, my friend, my automobile car stylist, my car wrap guy, Omar Aguirre. Omar, what's up, buddy?
Not much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, dude. So Omar is the owner of Central Coast Auto Stylings, and I'll let him introduce himself. I'll let him talk about, himself and, all that good stuff. But I just want to share that Omar and I met. we were actually neighbors at our business park. And I was walking by one day, and we had both moved in at the same time. It was a new construction, a new building, and newer business owners. I walked by, saw his shop open. I walked in, and I asked him if he could wrap my vehicle. I did have a van at that time.
You had one, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and sure enough, he was able to provide that service, and slowly but surely, we built an organic relationship with mutual, work going back and forth, that kind of thing. And that's led us here to Mag One Media. So what's up, bro?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Not nothing. There's a lot going on. I'm excited to be here. We went from strangers to almost like the brother I never had.
Thank you, man.
So I thank you for that. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Alex, from One Media, for having us too. So, but yeah, about me. I'm 32, born and raised here. I grew up in the East Side like always. I'm an East Side kid. Central Coast, we started out of a hobby in a sense. So, and then, we're here.
So how long have you been in business now? It's been about the same time as me, right?
Yeah, about, what am I saying? This is our third full year. So 4 and 3.5 maybe, unless we go. It's 3 full years.
So you've been in business longer than I have.
No, because how long we had the shop for? We had the shop for what, 3?
2. It's been 2 years.
So
yeah,
2 full years. So technically, like 3 years, 3.5.
Yeah. So we're about the same.
About the same.
Yeah.
Very different though.
And so it started as a hobby. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. So first of all, the services that you offer, and correct me at any point, but you do commercial wraps, so branding from design to installation. Personal vehicles, you do just
Color change,
custom wraps and make them look all crazy and shit.
Make it stand out. Whatever you want. There's a million colors now, so whatever.
Yeah, literally, right?
Yeah.
And then window tint.
No, I haven't got into that yet. That's probably the next adventure.
Vertical.
Yeah, the next vertical.
Yeah.
The detailing, same thing. Mobile detailing. It's the next one.
Nice.
I'm trying to focus more on like commercial too now, so the more the signs and stuff like that too. So
yeah.
But we're growing. That's the name. When I originally started rapping, it was supposed to be Rap Kings because it was going to be rap. But now, after I thought about it, I was like, well, Central Coast Auto Styling, I want to do more focus on everything when it comes to cars. So slowly but surely, we're growing. So once I get more manpower, then we'll keep growing. So that's probably my biggest. Maybe my biggest liability right now is not having the power to offer everything I want.
All in phases, right? And so you came from a entrepreneurial background, right? Your father, if I'm not mistaken, he has a couple businesses here in town. So did you always know that you were going to pursue your own venture kind of thing, or were
that's a good question. Yes and no. My dad, first of all, my dad went from working, no papers, illegal strawberries, and then had his own business, soccer business, and now a pet store here. So I've always liked that, how he had his own schedule. He was his own boss.
Yeah.
But in a sense too, I didn't want. I don't know if it's like a Mexican thing or like I didn't want to be like the same route as my dad.
Yeah, you wanted your own
path.
I
wanted my own path.
I don't think that's a Mexican thing. I think that's
I don't know.
That's just a normal thing for kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
So when I started slowly but surely, I was working for him like he had a soccer store, Kaya Soccer Plus, that I basically ran it for like a couple years. But we would just bump heads, just me and my dad had the same personality. I'm sure it's like that.
Sure. Working with family is always a challenge.
Yeah, it's amazing sometimes. And then I went to the Jurassic Pets, which is a store on here too, and same thing at work. But I was just like, I don't know, like. At least I was back then being immature and being younger. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to work for my dad. I hated it, in a sense. But now I understand it.
Yeah. Now that the shoe's in the other foot, you realize it.
And then I went to school I'm a veteran, so I used my GI Bill to do. I went to school to do HVAC and electrician, and I just didn't like it. I just didn't like being. Telling me what to do, so then I decided to do my own thing, and here we're here now,
Yeah.
I still don't tell myself what to do still, but
and that's interesting. So thank you for your service.
Yeah,
you served in the U.S. Army.
Yeah, in the Army,
and you were MP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thank you for that service and dedication and sacrifice. And so coming out of the service, I guess you got tired of people. You got tired of taking orders.
Honestly, I got tired of that and all the fucking politics. I mean, but that's everywhere now still.
Yeah, sure. Well, cool. So you started rapping as a hobby. So I'm assuming that you were just kind of helping someone out, or how did that whole thing get started?
So with the shops that we're at now, in front there's a tent. One of the guys there, he was renting out to some at the time. His name was Jeff. He needed help because he was growing. He was probably one of the only ones that would rap here in Salinas. So he was rapping, and he's like, "Hey, I need some help." So my friend told me, and I started helping him. But after a while, I started noticing that I liked it, and I kind of noticing that he saw that I liked it, and he kind of like pushed away from like teaching me. So then I'm like, well, I had all money saved up. I'm like, okay, I'll start doing classes, and then I got good at it. I literally probably began to rap, I want to say like in the January. By May I had signed the lease to get.
You already knew that you were gonna go. Yeah. You were gonna go in.
And I've always been like that. I've always been like, I'm
extremist.
Basically I jump from if I want to do something, I think an idea today, tomorrow I jump in it. So that's why I spent a good amount of money when I got my shop. I wanted it nice. I'm always gone all out. I'm never half that shit. So
yeah.
So that's how it came about. And then I actually remember having because it was in August, maybe 3-4 years ago, whatever, around that time frame. And I just had, all the money that I had saved up. So I invested in my business. But it was slow. I thought I knew what the business was from having my dad, but I didn't know shit.
Yeah.
And in a sense, so it went slow from like August, my first year, August, to like March. And I was like completely dead. And at the time, Jeff had came to my shop, the one that had taught me, and he was renting, and he had all his cars, and I would just help him out and, making the rent, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I just remember one time being upstairs and like having I was like, in a sense, like I felt like defeated. I was like, dude, like my shop's nice. I have no business of what's going on. And I just remember getting a phone call at the time, and I was like, back then didn't do all that self work, shadow work that I've done now. So I didn't really realize, but I felt like, and in a sense now looking back, I was like, I thought I was depressed. And I just remember my love language off topic is like words and affirmation. So I'm sitting up there, dude. I was like sad. I was looking at my phone. I don't know what the hell I was doing, just sad. And then my girlfriend, she calls me. She's like, "Hey, I just want you to know that I'm proud of you and like that you're gonna do good in your business." And like I don't know, that just like flipped the switch on me. And then after that, I just began like trying to network and shit. And after that, like March, it started taking off, and to the point where I'm at now and stuff. So,
there you go. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And it's funny. So that's one of the reasons why I invited you on the show is because the premise of this show is to discuss the journey of an entrepreneur, the ups and the downs, right, and inspire and learn and exchange ideas, because there's just so much involved with this. Being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, there's a difference between both, right? We all start off as business owners, and as we mature and we start really casting and honing in on vision and purpose and implementation of the things that we learn through personal development, suddenly you start seeing what it really means to travel that journey to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And, you started as a business owner, as did I, and as do most people who go into business. And, being that our shops were side by side, I think I was, not to put it out there, just kidding, but I was your first commercial rap customer.
What? Commercial, yeah.
Commercial
for
rap.
sure, yeah.
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
obviously you were doing your thing.
Yeah.
But and that was cool. Like I didn't mind because you
Yeah.
gave me a good deal, and
They got a good deal.
He's still mad about it, but
you
you
still
know,
get the good deals though.
yeah,
It's all
yeah.
good.
And anyway, it was a learning experience for you. It was something new for me, and it didn't matter because ultimately, here's the kicker is that I ended up rebranding and had to rewrap all my vehicles, which you ended up doing anyway. So hopefully it came back around for the good deal.
Hopefully you keep rebranding.
Yeah. But anyway, what I wanted to touch on was you didn't have, when you went in, you mentioned some crazy phrases, some stuff that you're like, oh, what's that, right?
Yeah.
You talked about, shadow work. You talked about possibly, you said words of affirmation. Obviously, you're talking love language, but you're discussing affirmation. So you're starting to get into some tricky waters there. You know what I mean?
For some people.
Yeah. Right. And so what it amounts to, and what I want to get into with you is I've had the opportunity to not just grow with you professionally, as two neighboring businesses, but we've also shared our experiences through the entrepreneurial or the personal development journey, rather. Both of those.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurship and the personal development. I remember early on as I remember when I hired my first business coach, Shane. I hired him, and I remember running to you and telling you, hey man, I'm going to pay this dude, I think it was like somewhere like $4,000 a month, and not to put his business out there, but you know what I mean? And I was like nervous. I'm like, what am I doing? Right. Cause, culturally, demographically, like just regionally, geographically, or just whatever, for whatever reason it was, we weren't raised in an environment, and that's just maybe just a personal family thing, right? We weren't raised in an environment where, you hire a coach, you pursue mentorship or whatever the case may be, right? But at the end of the day, after talking with my wife, who gave me her blessing, I was able to comfortably, as comfortable as it could be, I decided I was able to hire a coach and expose myself to this crazy world that's just been a roller coaster of all kinds of emotions and growth and setbacks, and it's been good. So at a certain point, I think it was this January, was it? I guess my question would be, I think it was January, but was that when we started 75 Hard is what I'm referring to, was that your first real like endeavor of jumping into this world of personal development?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I had tried 75 Hard, like, think 3 times before I failed 3 times before I tried it. Then I finished the 4th time. But it was in March. It was in March when we started it. Yeah.
And let me ask you, man, what type of impact has that had in your life?
Dude, it has changed my life completely. First of all, if people that know me is I've lost 75 Hard. I think I was like at 231, and now I fluctuate between 190 and 195. But and even Andy, the creator of 75 Hard, will say it's not a fucking physical workout. A physical change that comes naturally is more mentally, and that's what changed me. And totally different person from March that I am now because of that, And the way 75 Hard happened, I was going through a rough patch in relationship, going through a breakup, and I was driving to pay my rent in Marina, and I was listening the book of Ed Mylett at the Power One, or
Power One More,
the Power One More, and I was sad, so I was just down.
You were in your feelings.
I was in my feelings basically, and I remember it was like 8:15. I'm driving through Castroville, and Ed Mylett talked about, we always talk about who I'm not to quote for sure the phrase, but paraphrase more of like, he was like, we always say we'll start Monday or we'll start tomorrow and stuff like that, and that happened day to be Monday, and I said, well, fuck it, like, why not just fucking start it? Like, I know what the fuck I need to do for 75 Hard. Why not just do it? Literally, dude, I haven't ate nothing. Because 75 Hard, if there's rules, what do you need to follow? Yeah. I hadn't done nothing. One of the biggest things was the gallon of water a day. I literally got a convenience store, grabbed a gallon, and I just started chugging it. I went to go pay the rent, and then I went back to the shop and started writing down, the 2 workouts, and that's how it started. And then the prior 3 times, that would be my 4th time that I tried it. The first 3 times, day 1, 5 p.m., I'm done. Like I have a headache, you know, I have withdrawals from eating fucking shitty food, and then I just stuck with it. And I noticed like, and then you were doing it. So when you were doing it, I think you were like 14 days or like about 2 weeks ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
So you would always tell me, well, okay, what day this you're gonna feel that, and like, it happens. So happens that, you know, I felt that, and there was times where, you know, I wanted to give up, but after a while, like after day 7, after day 14, like every couple of weeks, I would notice a difference in myself.
Yeah.
And then it just took off from there, and you know, 75 hard helped me do all the shadow work that we don't talk about. I mean, especially us coming from a Mexican culture, at least.
It well, to back up a little bit and just to, you know, some people aren't familiar with it. So 75 hard is not a fitness program. It's a mental fortitude program. Yep. See, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's a mental fortitude program that was developed by Andy Frisella, and essentially what it is, there's I believe there's 5 tasks. There's outdoor. There's 2 workouts. They have to be at least 4 hours apart. One of them has to be outdoors, 45 minutes each. You can't have any cheat meals. You can't have any alcohol. You have to follow a diet of your choice, so they don't put pressure on any given diet. Just something that works for you. And you have to read 10 pages of a non-fiction book, something in the self-help realm or personal development book. And you have to take a selfie, and you have to take a progress picture and drink a gallon of water. So I guess there's more than 5.
Yeah.
But anyway, and that goes on for 75 days. And the idea is no, it's not a fitness program. But what's happening is, as you go through this journey, and I've gone through it once to completion, and I failed it twice, I believe, before. And I got down to like day 46 or something, and I failed once. But anyway, the thing about it is that as you go through those changes, what it's doing is instilling things like fortitude, discipline, bunch of good things come out of it, but you can't see when you're growing inside, right? You can't see your mindset shifting. So the cool thing is that by taking those progress pictures and following the regimen, you do see an external result, and you see the weight loss and that kind of thing. So it's a really cool program. If you're interested in it, look it up. 75 Hard with Andy Frisella. But the byproduct of that, and that's what I think what you were getting at, is the byproduct of that. And you know, you did the program, I did the program. Life happens. You kind of continue on with life because it's not. That's I'll keep that opinion for later. Yeah. But you continue on with your life, and something. I mean, what you were feeling great. I remember you were like on top of the world, just as I was, right? And obviously, working through personal development, it exposed you to new ideas and new things, and you keep referring to shadow work. So, tell me about how you got there. Like, you finished 75 Hard. Then what happened?
So I finished 75 Hard. I felt like I was on top of the world. One, because obviously I felt like I haven't felt this healthy since I was in the Army. But mentally it was a different, just like before. I always thought it was my relationships that I cared about, what they thought about me, or if I wasn't enough. But after 75 Hard and doing the shadow work, and I realized that it was with my dad. So then I realized, like, shit, like everything's tied down to your energy, to your feelings with your family. Like, and don't get me wrong, I can never complain about my childhood. Like, I had everything I wanted. My dad would make me work for it. But I always felt like, and this is the reason why maybe I went my path instead of helping my dad more, is like I always felt like I was never gonna be enough. Like, I always wanted, like, my dad to be like, I'm proud of you. And like, even to this day, I mean, I know my dad loves me, and I know my dad did everything he did to us, but he never told me like, I'm proud of you and I love you, and he still doesn't. Yeah. And before 75 Hard and that was like him not having his approval would wreck me. But now, since doing all that work, I told myself it's okay if my dad doesn't tell me. I know he does. Like, and when it goes back to seeing the shadow work from we see some lady named Patty. So introduced about Patty.
Yeah. So you identified where those feelings came from, and you realized that, just like a lot of other people, that we all have trauma. is what happened, right? So you were going through 75 hard, you're developing this mental fortitude, and you started realizing that, these feelings and opinions are coming because of childhood trauma that was brought on. And, I think a lot of us in our age, our generation, I'm a little older than you.
A couple of years. I'll give you that.
But, it was a tougher generation, and maybe, through no fault of theirs, because everything's just kind of sequential and lineage and that kind of thing. It's passed down from one generation to another. And I think, like, I know my dad did a hell of a job, but, that type of affection was just not normal.
Yeah, no,
right. But he did a better job than his father, and so it kind of trickles down, and it's up to us to break those cycles. But anyway, so you identified those issues inside, those. Or I guess he did the shadow work is you reflecting on those traumas and identifying that you had some work to do, and so. Now it gets interesting, right?
Yeah.
So you go out and you see Miss Patty.
Patty, yeah.
so obviously we're local here. We're here in Monterey County. We're here in Salinas, California. So Patty is who? Who's Patty?
Patty is.
I know you want to give her a shout out.
So yes, shout out to Patty. Thank you for helping me get where I'm at, guiding me to get where I'm at. Patty focuses on like energy. She's how do I say it without trying to sound like we're crazy or something? She's more. Who gives a fuck? She's more of like she helps you with your spirit, like your spiritual side. She's not like.
She comes to you from a holistic approach.
Yeah, from a holistic approach. So when I started seeing Patty was when I started dating my girlfriend, and it was one of our first days. She goes. She's like, oh, it was during COVID. She goes, oh, I want you to see this lady. She's a bad energy. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm come from a traditional family. I'm like, what the hell is this? But I was trying to, eventually date the girl. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna, play the game and kiss her ass and go to that. So, so it was during COVID. So I just remember she's in Castroville, holistic. I don't even know her business name. Transfer. I'll look it up right now. But so it was during COVID. So we were like separated. The whole 6 feet and whatever. So then, she...
It was during COVID?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, so she had it outside, and she had... I want to say it was like 16 of us, but we were like separated, and like it's in the concrete, so it was just like on a pillow. So I'm like, and I'm in the front, and then my girlfriend's in the back, and she's sitting and like meditating. And at this time, I've never meditated. I've never done none of that. Like, I never do that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like sitting there, and then just Patty, it's just the first time ever meeting her, and I'm like... she came around. She was like, "There's a, closing your eyes," and he's like, "There's a light coming out. Picture the light is coming out." And at the time, the lights like, and I remember this day still because it's like one of the days that changed me a lot. So it was like in my head, eye closed. Had like a emerald green light. I remember, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "What am I doing here?" I was like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "This is what I'm gonna do to went over this girl behind me, whatever," and so Patty just goes and puts like her hand over me, and she goes. I just want you to know that you're enough. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, you never known me in my life. You know my issues, but that is my issue. Cause even up to 2 months ago, that was always my how do I say? Maybe
trauma.
My trauma that it triggered it. So I'm like, what the hell? I was like, how does she know this? And like I said before, I thought I felt that wasn't enough for my relationship, but it's more I felt enough to my dad. And that's before I knew about inner child trauma. So, I'm going home and I remember being on the car ride back home and I'm like, did my girlfriend, Jessica, did she like tell Patty about me? Like how does Patty know? And ever since then I was like intrigued. I was like, because we had a conversation. He goes, no, I've never told her anything about it, but at the time, my girlfriend didn't know any of that too. So I'm like, so ever since then I started seeing her more and more and like, she's helped me a lot, like so much. She's helped me like with my energy and like even now when it goes to like your energy is everything. Like if you it basically opened up a rabbit hole from spiritual energy to what I am now. It's like even now like gratitude or even something as writing down obviously being grateful for or even being negative. When you're negative, you're throwing all that negative energy out. You're giving negative energy out, so you're receptive to that negative energy. And it's funny because there was times where I would go to Patty and I was like depressed, I was having an argument or I was having an issue with my dad or whatever, and like she would go and like I would be there and people that have gone to Patty know how, her things she puts on the table, you lay down, you meditate, and that table of bed, you meditate. And every time after, I would feel like clarity, like, it was clarity of a guidance of what you need to do. And I would come out and, I just felt great. And it's the point where like, I would tell you about it and you were like, oh, I don't know if I wanted to go on that route. Yeah. And I mean, I tell everyone now, like everyone, if there's a close friend to me, knows about how much Patty has helped me. And I recommend it and I tell them all the time, dude, it's not like, especially people that are super religious, we know a few, when I tell them, bro, it's not like anything to do with like, bad energy, all that brujeria, people say it. I was like, she's, it's a good energy. So Patty like has changed me so much as far as that, guiding me, to the right, but people are frowned upon. Like if I tell my parents about her, she'd be like, what the fuck? Like that's local, type of thing. But very few people that are in that realm like us that do the shadow work and the self work started from Sunday for Hard will understand. They'll be like, oh, these fools are not crazy. But I'm sure people that are traditional are gonna be like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Why is he on the podcast? Or why is Armando super close with him? But it's like we get each other. We feel that vibration, energy. Like it's to the point now where like if someone's like negative towards me or like I feel the energy, it's like, bro, like it's exhausting. I'm like, dude, get away from me, that type of thing. So and like and very few people know. Like you had a couple guests like Dave Castlevan knows all about that. And Christian Palacios knows all about that. So Cedric. And it's funny because Cedric knows all about that. So like, and even Chris. So when we talk, it's to us it's normal. Like we know that for us it works, and for us it's a it's a way of life in a sense. Mm-hmm. But when we talk to people that don't, maybe like if I said I would talk to my parents, they'd be like, what the fuck?
No, I mean 1,000%. Yeah. So first off, just to clarify, what it is she helps. What Patty does is she does a guided meditation, and essentially just helps you get some clarity, close your mind, and focus inward, so that then you could get just go through a meditation, if you will, and it gets wild in there when you start going inward. But that's how a lot of folks deal with trauma in a sense, right? It's they have to identify what triggered them, go inward, and the shadow work is essentially addressing the root cause of the trauma. So you keep mentioning inner child. Well, that's your younger self maybe didn't realize that your dad loved you like he did. Like now as an adult, he did, but he never said it. He loved you. Yeah. But did little Omar know? Did Omar. Right? And so the shadow work is basically kicking that beehive, as C-Dub would say. Yeah. Right? It's going in there and addressing the root cause of it so that you could overcome those triggers whenever you feel that kind of way. It's psychology. It's a little bit of quantum physics. It's a little supernatural. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's different.
Or weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, dude. So, and I say that because I was never exposed to that stuff either, right? And you mentioned it as we've gone through personal development. All of a sudden, you're like, wait a minute, what's all this stuff? What are all these feelings? What are all these emotions? Because we were taught to suppress, and so. Like you, going through 75 hard, I did very well with the program. It changed me, and it was funny because I was going through it at a time that we were experiencing rapid growth in all areas of life. It felt like home life is good, kids are good, wife's good, happy, everything's going on. Work is going well. We're having record-breaking months. I'm hiring people. I mean, by all accounts from the outside, it's like, man, this guy's blessed. And I was, and I am extremely blessed. And I don't discredit that at all. But I remember, and this will bring in, this conversation's kind of funny because it's making me reflect. So during all that success, that was January, February, and I believe March. I mean, it hasn't stopped. Yeah. That's the cool thing. Yeah. But during 75 Hard, that's actually, I think I touched on it on the episode with Chris Warrens. I read his book, and that's what he was talking about, doing the shadow work. Uh-huh. And in there, he was also talking about, there's a whole chapter related to affirmations and morning routine and gratitude journaling. So that's when I was exposed to that. And, as crazy as it sounds, it worked. Right? Things were happening around me because of awareness. I became aware of things and call it the law of attraction or however you want to call it, karma, but it was working. And so success kept going. Everything's going well. And all of a sudden, I had a very minor, customer service issue that was easily dismissed. Not dismissed like I don't care, but dismissed as in I was an operations manager for a large company for, I don't know, 8 years or something like that. And I dealt with customer service issues. That was one of my jobs I was the guy who went in and took care of problems. I was a problem solver. Yeah. I am a problem solver as an owner, right? So having a customer service issue wasn't the problem. The problem was that the way I reacted inside here in my heart, right? Because I care so deeply about providing a good service and care deeply about making sure that we're upholding our core values and so forth and so on. So all of a sudden, I had this minor issue, and I'm not belittling the issue, but the point is that it should have not gotten to me the way that it did. It's part of business. So I addressed it, and it didn't have the outcome that I desired. And, I always want to make sure that everyone feels well with everything going on, but it's business, right? Sometimes people aren't gonna align with it. All good. Well, the problem was I was just coming off of 75 hard. I was depending on someone else's system, and this is my rant with 75 hard now, right? As good as it is, it wasn't my system. It was Andy Frisella's system that I was applying to my personal life, which is fine. It's great. And truthfully, his program is a year long. It's the Live Hard program. And eventually it becomes a lifestyle that you sustain the rest of your life, I guess, right? I wasn't ready to do all that. I wanted so badly to implement my own personal system so that it could be a sustainable deal, for the rest of my life versus depending on the program, right? And so I didn't follow through with the rest of his deal. It goes on to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. But anyway, so I finished 75 hard. Everything's going great. And suddenly a little customer service issue. And bro, I got depressed.
Yeah, I remember. I talked to you.
I was down for 2 weeks, and I have coaches. I've invested in personal development. I know people, I'm connected, all this stuff, right? And, I'd reached out to some of them and they give me advice that was actually really good, but I didn't want to hear it because when you're depressed or when you're going through turmoil, it's really hard to get up, right? And so I have a lot of empathy for people that go through, that have trauma. I have a lot of empathy for people that, go through depression. And obviously it goes without saying, if you need help, ask for help, right? Seek help, talk about it. I have to say that as a disclaimer to the show, you know what I mean? But truthfully, I was like, damn, I can't. And I already knew what to do, man. Yeah. I already had a good morning routine in place to help me continue with my success. It's simple. All I had to do was wake up at 4:45 a.m., go do a workout, get the body moving. After the workout, it was read 10 pages because I still try to do that. And then write my gratitude journal, because once you're in gratitude, once you're in that gratitude space, your perspective changes, right? Like Casavan said, if you're vertical, you got something to be grateful for. So all of a sudden you can really look at your life, and by all the good in life, you should easily overcome just by shifting your perspective, right? Well, it didn't work out that way. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get up. I couldn't get into that workout. I mean, I was up. I was functioning. I was going to work. I was still being a leader.
You're just going through emotions.
But I was feeling things that I never felt because I've never took the time to process any of my own emotions, right? I had zero emotional intelligence. And I could say that because I took a hard look at my life as this kind of process went on. I was the kind of guy that always showed two emotions. I was either happy, or what I thought was happy, or I was angry. And that was it, right? And it's funny because, I look back at my childhood and my dad, who I love, my dad's my best friend, but it was happy or angry. You know what I mean? He seldomly showed sadness and other emotions, right? And it's not his fault, and it's all good. Like I said, I'm very fortunate with my childhood. I did not come from a broken home. I had both my parents who loved us and sacrificed and all that good stuff. But I'm replicating what I saw because I caught it. Yeah, I wasn't taught it. I caught it. You caught it. You know what I mean? And so interestingly enough, here I was in this place, and I'm like, what in the world's going on? Shortly before this had happened, I had gone to an Arte event in St. Louis, and that's where I met Jamie. Shout out Jamie Herena. And, I remember having dinner with her, with Cedric and AD. And she had, she's an empath. She's intuitive. She's like Patty in the sense that she does a lot of internal work and on meditation and healing and that kind of thing. And she has an incredible story, Jamie Herena, if you want to look her up. But anyway, I remember having dinner with her, and she was telling us that she's very connected to energy and to source, and that she could tell us about, she could read people very well.
Yeah.
So me, and I was going through 75 Hard, so I was sober. I wasn't drinking.
You were?
I wasn't there. I was just hanging out, right? I was just like, oh, like, tell me about me, right? And I remember, I'll never forget that she said to me, she goes, I actually just ran into her in New York a couple weeks ago, and she said that what she noticed about me was that I was there, but I wasn't present. My mind was already running gears and running plays on how I was going to get to the next revenue goal and how I was going to get to the next stage in business. I mean, my mind's just churning. All I'm thinking about is business and growth and goals. But what I didn't do was I had never sat in my emotions or processed the feelings of that rapid growth that I was experiencing, right? And so all of a sudden, I burnt out.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. And it didn't make sense when she told me that. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
When she said you need to just be, those are her words. Just be. Well, I thought just be meant lock myself up in a room, pull out a whiteboard, and write how I'm going to get to my next, revenue goal. But no, that wasn't it, right? So I was like, I did just be. Well, anyway, long story short, I crashed and burned. And it took me a minute, and it took me talking to the right people and having good conversations with more coaches and mentors. Shout out to Matt Bertho for being a voice coach and so much more, where we actually started going into a deep dive into self and becoming more aware of what was going on inside, right? And then thus began my shadow work. Yeah. And that was a long way around to say that was about the time that you invited me to see Patty.
Oh, yeah. It was. At first you don't want to. I was like, bro, just, like, I'm telling you, like, everyone that knows about me knows how much I rave about Patty for that reason. Yeah. And I know she comes, it's a good energy, it's a good place. It's like I've told you, I told Cedric, right. So.
Well, and that's just it, right? It's so foreign to us. I mean, like, first of all, the fact that I'm here, on a podcast talking about emotional intelligence and awareness and energy, I mean, it's different, right? But the thing is that as you go through and you evolve as a person, you realize more and more that there's a lot of, truth in this, that this is a reality. And you could call it a whole bunch of different things to make you feel comfortable. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? So I went to go see Patty, and I had a guided meditation with her, and it was fucking awesome. Yeah. It was incredible. So I vouch for her too. You know what I mean? If it's up your alley, go see her. You know what I mean? Definitely. But anyway, so I don't know, man. You could let you add to that journey.
I mean, like, this year, it's probably been my most successful year, like, financially for my business. Right. But like I said, if I didn't do none of the shadow work, my business would have probably been closed now. I've always been like, fuck, if I get an idea, okay, I'll do it tomorrow type of thing. But now it's like doing the shadow work has slowed me down. Like, just putting in the work slowed me down. Be like, okay, well, I got to think about this. I got to think about that. Like, even if my heart makes me, plan out more. Like I said, gratitude, I'm still working on it. I tend to forget, but the days that I do gratitude, it's like, dude, like, it's just like, yeah, I see. It's a better day when I'm gratitude, because it's true. Like, dude, I'm pretty blind, but I have 2 eyes. I'm not blind. I have, 2 hands, 2 feet. I have 2, I'm functioning, and it's funny because I talk to people, I meet people all the time, and they're negative. Like, oh, my windshield got cracked today. My day is ruined. And I'm like, bro, it's like 8 a.m. Like, at least you have a car to have, I see now everything in life is, it's perspective. You can be negative, you can be positive. And if, like I told earlier, if you're putting out negative energy out, you're gonna get negative energy back in. You're receptive to it, and that's the way it is. Right. And and
it was funny, for me as we're talking about energy and whatnot. I remember for me the big kickoff was reading "Dominate Your Day" was obviously important to me, but also the great Napoleon Hill's I'm drawing a blank. Think and Grow Rich. There we go. I was about to say. Because in there he goes into detail about vibrations and frequencies and as I evolve and become more aware, the more you see it. So you're talking about, there's a lot of truth in, I mean, everything's energy, you know what I mean? And Again, you could call it source, you could call it God, you could call it universe,
Whatever.
you could call it karma, you could call it whatever you want to call it to make you, help you understand and comprehend it. But the fact is that there's something that's bigger than us.
Yeah.
And the way that I looked at it from that book was that, everything is frequency, right? The fact that you're listening to this audio either in the car or through, the internet or watching the feed, it's a frequency that's being, pass through either
Transmitted,
wires or whatever it is, transmitted, right? And it's just how radios work. And we're the same way. So that's that boomerang effect and law of attraction and all that crazy shit that I used to laugh at and be like, oh, that's some hippie ass, like.
I mean, it's very simple too, because like I said, anyone that's listening to the podcast and go be around someone that's negative. Check your energy when or your emotions, how you are before you meet talk to someone that's negative. And after talking to them for a while about being negative, you're like, what the fuck? Like, you'll feel down for that reason. It's when I think me and you talked about it too. One time, like, I think you were reading a book. I don't know which one it was, but you were talking about how most of us only pray when something's bad happens to us. We never.
I think that was Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, it was Think and Grow Rich, and we don't pray when we're happy. Like, I mean, some of us do, I guess. You
should.
Yeah,
But
maybe
anyway.
you should, but yeah. So, but for the most, I mean, at least for me, not being super religious, I'm,
Yeah.
when we pray is when something bad happens,
Right.
and after that, I thought about it. I was like, I thought about it. I was like, bro, it's just the energy too. It's the sad, bad energy you're putting out.
Yeah,
So
it's what you're attracting, right? What your subconscious is putting out there.
So,
That is,
and like I said, it's tied down to everything as far as business. Like, fuck, like I said a year ago, I would not think where I'm at now. Like, it's to a point where, like, I mean, yeah, I'm busy. I'm super busy, but there's times where I take days off just to, go to the beach and take my shoes off and ground myself. Like,
Yeah.
people are like I said, if I tell my dad that, he's like, what the fuck? Why are you grounding yourself? What the fuck is that? He's like, you stop being a bitch and just go back to work, go back to work type of thing. But, it's like that. But it's like, back to everything, childhood traumas, you got to break those habits. Like, and if it works for you, then great. Yeah, you might think, okay, fucking Omar and Armando are crazy, but there's people out there like done the work that we did. They're like, oh no, I totally get him. We're not right or wrong. That's just us and how we see life and how we, gone to grow.
Yeah,
So-
that's it, man. But no, it's just part, for the way I look at it, it's just part of the journey and part of the evolution, right? Yeah, man, it's a trip, but at the same time, it has, and I'll ask you the same question. I know on my side, it has helped me with business, right? It has, because what happens is once you develop in putting aside like meditation and vision and law of attraction and having a vision board and all that kind of manifestation.
Yeah.
And, there's like a whole. It's like I said, it's a rabbit hole,
Yeah, it is,
right?
definitely.
And there's a lot involved, and there's other episodes where we discuss that stuff. But what it comes down to for me, as far as the emotional intelligence, is it has ultimately it has allowed me to become a better leader. Not just that in business, but also with family, because all of a sudden you process those emotions and you realize that we all do have trauma and where is it caused from? And then, oh shit, well, it's because of this. Well, let me not do that to my kids. Let me be a better, not better, but different father than maybe my father was to me.
Yeah.
Right. Let me encourage my kids to talk about their feelings and process their emotions, which, is different culturally, not culturally, but generationally than the generation before us.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, we could take what we're learning now and implement it and help our kids and your future kids, or your kids that, your kids and your future kids avoid the trauma, right? And have them live a happier life because they don't have these beehives that they got to kick. Then it's all worth it.
Yeah.
On the business side, emotional intelligence has allowed me to, I've always been empathetic, right? I've always been able and had the ability to take care of my customers in the right way because I cared, blah, 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 all that good stuff. And I've always been a good leader, but it's helped me become a great leader because of emotional control through emotional intelligence, right? And now, it's actually processing feelings and not just speaking out of your ass when you get pissed, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean,
That's
and
big,
all
that's
that.
big on me, for me.
And the thing about it, and this is where I deviate from 75 Hard, and again, I know there's people have their strong opinions about the program because it is a great program, but something that I learned and was taught is that, and I think I mentioned it, in another podcast, is that 75 hard, it's like, you know, you get to the end, and then what happens, right? After 75 days, you go and you go out and drink, have all the drinks. You go back and you eat a big ass pizza and go back to your old routines. You stop working out and you derail, right? I derailed. I'm guilty of that, right? And the thing about that is that, you know, that's not the point of the program, right? The point of the program is to develop the skill set of discipline, because it's a diminishing skill that's very difficult to sustain, and then continuing that momentum through life. And that's why it's not the program's fault. It's our fault as the people doing the program to, you know, to set that, 75 days from now I'm going to do this, right? That's just us being human or whatever, right? But what it comes down to is everything, this personal development, this whole journey, everything that we're doing is truly a lifelong thing that we got to go through and work through, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time. Literally, I'm time blocking my hours, right? And it's never going to end. And that's all good, man. It's just part of the ride, right? Of becoming, you know, more aware and running through it. But thank God that we have, you know, our people, our what do you call it? Our patties. Our patties,
yeah, definitely.
Our guides, our mentors, our friends, to experience life with, right? But it's been a wild journey so far.
And it also helps a lot that we have, like, and it's funny because I go back to this business is, I mean, being part of the Rotary and you being such like a pillar of the community, and like, you know. It's funny because, as I'm not gonna say their name, but there's people in the Rotary that when me and you are talking shit to each other, they're like, they look at me like, "What the fuck's wrong with you? Like, why are you being disrespectful towards Armando?" And in my head, I'm like, "I'm not being disrespectful towards Armando. I mean, Armando have a different relationship. He's like a big brother to me, you know." So, you know, sometimes I catch myself like, when we're around other professionals, like, "Oh shit, let me be more professional." But but sometimes like, and that's the thing too. Like before, like with the shadow work, I was like, dude, like before, a lot of us are like that. We care what people think about us so much. Yeah. But ever since doing stand-up hard, I was like, dude, this is me. Like, if you don't like me, then you know, time to, you know, fuck off or something. But that's and then like I said, going back to like I just remember one time, like I said, we were drinking, socializing somewhere, and I was like just talking to like, you know, like a friend, and then, you know, this person looked at me like, why are you talking to him like that? And I'm like, you know, in my head I was like, this is my boy, like, you know, you know, so. The way it's like, as the 75 has taught me as a business too, is like, you know, or the energy, all that stuff. It's like I don't really put up with people's bullshit. Like I see through it now. It's like I will not be disrespectful, be like, dude, like fuck off. But I'll be like, all right, like cool, like I understand. But it's like that because a lot of business owners are greedy. Like, you know, they see it's like that with anything though. You know, people. I mean, you know, maybe I should have said it. No, yeah, it's like you know, the saying for us is like the biggest enemy for a Mexican is another Mexican. Because a lot of Mexicans like to put other Mexicans down. And maybe it's all the cultures, but I'm coming from being Mexican. And it definitely feel like that. It's like, or like, you know, it's to a point where like, I mean, it was, I've got more support from strangers than my friends. Like my friends from kindergarten, like I can count how many friends have actually posted my business. Yeah. But I can tell like with you, I've only met you, 3-4 years? And you've done more for me than any of my friends. Or like, you know, like Cedric from After Hours Plumbing, like, you know, they helped me out more. But it goes back to like not everyone's happy for you. They're happy that you're making it until you start making more than them, and it has to go all with energy. Like I block all that off. Like I try to just focus on my people that want me to win.
There's, you know, you saw I posted yesterday another thing from Chris, and he said, look, pay attention to who's clapping and pay attention to who's not clapping. Mm-hmm. And what that is you as you become more aware, you're going to realize where to put your energy in and where to set your boundaries. And I'm still learning that because it's all still new and we're still developing it, right? And the more confidence you get in yourself, then the more comfortable you're going to be with your authentic person. And you should shoot for authenticity, right? And that's something that you've always had, no doubt, dude. You're going to say whatever's on your mind. Loose cannon over here.
I try to catch myself more.
But at the same time, like whatever, you know, we could all be a little bit more like that. And no, dude, not everyone's going to like it. Not everyone's going to align with you. But the other thing to say is just simply that pay attention. I don't know if this was an Ed Milet or an Andy Frisella thing, but just to quote one of those guys or misquote them, is you'll never get hate from people that are quote unquote beneath you.
Yeah, never.
or sorry, from above you. Above you.
Yeah.
There you go. People that judge you, people that criticize what you're doing, people that do all. I mean, it's never from the people that are at a higher level or more experienced than you. They're going to root for you more than the people that are beneath you,
because they've been there, they've done it.
And the people that are beneath you, they're all it is at the end of the day. It's other people projecting their insecurities, and that's all it is. So again, with having that awareness, you learn how to, where to put your energy in, and that doesn't mean to tell everyone to go away and be a dick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All it is just you just set your boundaries and you know where to spend your energy and that's why at the end of the day it comes back to you'll realize pretty quick who your circle is and where you should be associating with, and that's life, man. But no, dude, I just to round it out, man, I'm definitely grateful for you, bro, and we've been able to share this journey together as neighbors and friends and colleagues and clients and everything else in between, man. So I do appreciate you. To kind of close things out, as people look out for, if people want a car wrap or people want to get into this stuff with you, how can they find you?
Well, I have my social media, the Central Coast Auto Styling. So it's basically it's my Instagram right now. I'm working on the website. My number's on the bio, so that's the easiest way. And Google.
Yeah, Google. Yeah, keep up with the Google. Don't trip, bro. I'll go ahead and put some links up on the description. But I just want to thank you. I'm sure we'll I'm gonna be curious to see where you are in a couple years, and we'll get you back.
It's honestly, it's like I get excited. I know I haven't even like scratched the surface. Cause we talked about it, off topic. It's so easy to have a successful business, especially nowadays, because nobody answers the fucking phone.
The bar's low.
Yeah, the bar's super low. And even me that I'm so busy and I don't have the manpower to, I just the beginning, I will say it myself, if my business is not times 3 next year, is because it's my fault, and that's it.
Extreme ownership, baby. That's it.
Yeah, that's the best book I've ever read in my life too. So. All
right, man. Well, Omar, I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for joining us here at the Mag One Media, and I look forward to hearing from you, bro. We'll talk soon.
Thank you for having me.